Number 6, Living Gnome in 2008. A creepy gnome was caught on film in Argentina. Joyce Alvarez, who filmed the gnome, reported that they caught the creature on film while larking about in their hometown of General Gramez, Argentina. He stated, "We were chatting about our last fishing trip. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. I began to film a bit with my mobile phone while the others were chatting and joking. Suddenly we heard something, a weird noise, as if someone was throwing stones. We looked to one side and saw that the grass was moving. To begin with, we thought it was a dog, but when we saw this gnome-like figure begin to emerge, we were really afraid." Other locals have since come forward to say that they have spotted the gnome and the town has been covered in a pall of fear ever since the first sighting. Number 5. The Devil's footprints on the night of February 9, 1855, after light snowfall, a series of hoof-like marks appeared in the snow. These footprints, measuring 1.5 to 2.5 inches wide and 8 inches apart, continued throughout the countryside for a total of over 100 miles. And although varying at various points for the greater part of their course, followed straight lines, houses, rivers, haystacks, and other obstacles were traveled straight over it, and footprints appeared on the tops of snow-covered roofs and high walls which were in the footprints path, as well as leading up to and exiting various drain pipes of as small as 4 inches diameter. There were also rumors about sightings of a devil-like figure in the Devon area during the scare. Many townspeople armed themselves and attempted to track down the beast responsible without success. Recently, on the night of March 12, 2009, more strange marks corresponding to those left in 1855 were found again in Devon. Number 4, Jeff. In September 1931, the Irving family claimed to hear persistent scratching and rustling noises behind the farmhouse's wooden wall panels. At first they thought it was a rat, but then the unseen creature began making different sounds, something spinning like a ferret or growling like a dog or gurgling like a baby. The creature soon revealed an ability to speak and introduce itself as Jeff, a mongoose. It claimed to have been born in New Delhi, India in 1852. According to Worry, the daughter, who was the only person to see him properly, Jeff was the size of a small rat with yellowish fur and a large bushy tail. Jeff variously claimed to be an extra clever mongoose, an earthbound spirit, and a ghost in the form of Weasel. He once said, "I am a freak, I have hands, and I have feet. If he saw me, you would faint, you'd be petrified, mummified, turned around into stone or a pillar of salt." Rory Irving, who took Jeff under her wing, died in 2005. In an interview published late in life, she claimed that Jeff was not her creation. Number 3, James Watson. On September 3, 1873, a man named James Watson had accepted a challenge to race in record time from the town of Leamington to the town of Coventry, a 20-mile trek. He had been boasting of his foot skills and then was asked to prove them so. With sporting good spirits, he set about to do just that. Two friends, Emerson Burns and Braham Voice, followed behind in the horse-drawn carriage. Burns brought along his camera. Watson was never out of their sight and would often turn around while running to exchange some friendly words with the two riders. Running in the middle of the road, Merson suddenly appeared to stumble and pitch forward, having time enough for only one short piercing scream. Weiss later said it was the most ghastly sound either of us have ever heard, but as Watson pitched forward with a terrible cry, instead of falling to the ground, as he appeared to be about to have done, he completely and totally vanished in mid-fall before ever striking the ground. The road itself told the story, and Weiss took the pictures to prove it. In the soft dirt were Watson's footprints. They led down the middle of the road, looked as if the runners stumbled and they were disappeared. A search was called in. The locust scoured the area for jeans. The bloodhounds used in the search was strangely reluctant to approach the spot where Watson disappeared. He was never seen or heard from again. Number 2, August 7, 1973 will remain a day of mystery and possible tragedy. Several people in New Mexico that day using CB radios heard the disturbing cries for help from a little boy. He said his name was Larry and that he was trapped in a red and white pickup truck. He was with his father, who he thinks had a heart attack and was dead. He said that they had been on a rabbit hunting trip when his father collapsed on steering wheel. Larry claimed that the truck had flipped over into a ravine and both doors were jammed shut and he was unable to escape. The boy's signals faded in and out over the next few days and was also heard in California, Wyoming, and Arizona. In a panic, Larry began to flip between channels crying for help, police began a search and rescue team. One helicopter pilot was searching the Manzano Mountains in New Mexico for Larry says that he made contact with a little boy calling for help, but he called himself David, not Larry. A family traveling from Missouri was reported missing on August 11th, and they had a son named Larry, but they were eventually found on August 12th. An army surgeon claimed to have spoken to the boy for 3 hours but could not get him to give more information about himself, like his phone number or address, etc. No more contacts could be made with Larry. It is presumed his battery died. The search was called off on August 13th. The police stated that there was no concrete evidence, but they also say that the boy, if real, may have died sooner than the transmission stopped, and the subsequent transmissions from different states, some were even heard in Canada, were hoaxes. Many believed it was a hoax, but those who spoke to Larry swear to this day that it was that the emotion and the crying they heard from little Larry was no doubt the real thing. Number one on November 29, 1970, and his daughter were hiking in the Dalan Valley in Norway when they came across the partially charred remains of a young woman. She was surrounded by a large quantity of sleeping pills and bottles of gasoline. All the clothing she was wearing had the tags removed, and her fingerprints had been sanded off. A dental screening was done, and some of her dental work was done using techniques only found in Latin America. She was eventually traced back to two suitcases at the NSP train station in Bergen. Her luggage contained a prescription lotion with the doctor's name removed and a few pieces of broken glasses with partial fingerprints and 500 German marks, which is the equivalent of 350 US dollars, under the lining of one of the suitcases. They discovered the woman had traveled by train Europe under 9 different names. There were diaries found with the her things that contained cryptic notes that the police deciphered with codes listing the places that he had been. Witnesses say she wore wigs as she traveled and spoke several languages such as French, German, English, and Dutch. He stayed at several hotels in Bergen. After checking into each, he would change rooms several times, always requiring a balcony, and would always order porridge with milk. For room service, a local man came to the police saying that 5 days prior to the body's discovery, he came across a very elegant woman while hiking. He noted that she was dressed for being outdoors, much less on a remote hiking trail, and that her face was distorted with fear. He claimed that she attempted to mouth something to him but was followed closely by two large men in black coats. The man waited 32 years to come public with this story, stating that when he contacted the police, the officer who answered told him, "Forget her, she was dispatched, the case will never be solved."